Now, we talk about the two teams that I think have had a bit disappointing start so far to the season. Let's turn around and look at the other side. Neil, what teams have surprised you the most this season?
Well, American Fork's my surprise team, even though I thought they'd be good. But to start the season by outscoring your opponent 66, I think, to 7 is the stat that we've seen. That's an incredible start. I mean, you open with Provo, who is a little bit young and down this year, I think, and then you go up to Highland and completely work the Rams. American Fork has been the surprise team so far.
Well, I agree that American Fork's been really good, but we expected them to be pretty good coming into the season. You expected them to win the region, and I wasn't quite that high on them. I've been a little bit surprised, but I'm going to go with a couple of teams that I didn't think would have a lot of success in the preseason that already have victories, and that's Mountain View and Payson. Payson in their first game came back and almost won after getting down big early on. And then in their next game against Copper Hills, they did get the win. And how about Mountain View going out and beating a West Jordan team that really piled on the points against Lehigh? And West Jordan plays Mountain View, ends up losing 17-14. I've been really surprised with the way that Coach Wolstenhume and Tico Johnson over at Mountain View have gotten their kids ready for these games. Payson's been in both games, and Mountain View played really, really well against West Jordan.
Well, and I'm not as surprised as you are there. I think you said Copper Hills. Payson actually beat Olympus at Olympus.
Well, they almost beat Copper Hills, but you're right.
Yeah,
Payson did beat Olympus. That's correct.
That was their big win. And for Payson to go up there and beat Olympus on the road, especially after I watched the first half of that Copper Hills game, and I was sitting on that sideline thinking, this team isn't going to win a game all year. They were struggling, but I liked how they came back. They almost beat Copper Hills. They go on the road to beat Olympus. But we saw this last year in the preseason where they were the big surprise team and they went in the tank and region. So I'm not saying that's really a huge surprise. Mountain View, I told you, was coming. Mountain View has the athletes. They don't have the depth. They're going to win this week against Syracuse. So that wasn't as big a surprise considering Lehigh put up 27 points against West Jordan.
Well, Lehigh did put up some points, but I think, in my opinion, having both of these teams to have some early success, but I think you hit the nail on the head, is that depth is going to be the issue. If they can stay healthy, who knows what can happen. I think they're both in tough regions. I don't think they're going to have a lot of success, but health is their big factor. Both the last few years, they've had a lot of injuries, and it's really killed them when they got to region play.
One last thing, in Region 7, they're a playoff contender. Mountain View and Payson. I think there's just really no, other than Timpview, obviously so far, there's really no team that's distancing themselves or making a case to where they couldn't compete for a playoff spot.
Well, they could. It's possible.